Hello, good morning. Happy Monday.
Happy
Hi,
Monday.
Janice.
Hi, Lois. Happy Monday. How are you?
I'm doing good.
All
Um,
right.
we are here talking about priority today. Priority. I heard someone say
Yeah.
recently, we should stop saying the word priorities. Obviously, that's a plural. We still use it, but we need to start talking about what is the priority. What do you think about
Yeah.
that?
So, priority, absolutely important because I think human nature and human tendency, especially if you're wanting to do a lot of things and get a lot of things done, we tend to just try and do everything we can all in one go and all in one fell swoop, right? So trying to do this, trying to do that. Oh, I got to get this done. I got to get that done, and running from hither to fro, trying to get everything done, and we really can't do it all. And I think it reminds me of that little exercise my professor did in college with the stones in the jar. And we fill it up with all these little things that we're supposed to do and all the mundane things that we think we need to have done and that are important. And all the important things, because they're bigger, get left out till the end. And then you can't fit them all in. So something falls through the cracks, right? Something falls by the wayside. So basically what we need to do is get that one priority or a couple of the things that we know are important to do, get that in the jar. And then once you've got those important things in the jar, or that one important priority that you've got to get done, and you get that checked off, that's an accomplishment. It's like a sense of, whew, I got it done. Now I can look at the other things that are maybe, not as important, but are important, but you now can start to check off the list and go down the list one by one. So I think it's important to have priority, because knowing me, I try to do it all. Once I'm on a roll, I'm on a roll. I want to get it all done. And I know that things suffer when you do that. Your sleep suffers, your food suffers, your body suffers, your mind, everything suffers when you try to cram it all in. So have a priority. So yeah,
I'm definitely a plural girl. I like to, I
priorities.
like to do it all. And there's a lot that you can do and say just
Mhm.
because we can doesn't mean we should, right?
Yeah,
But sometimes when you do like to do all the things, it's hard to choose because we feel like we're laying something down and it's almost like, oh, yo, but I want to do that. I want to do this. And I was on a training call this week and I finished it and I laid it down and I went into the other room and my daughter said, Mom, why do you like to do that? And I said, well, I don't know if it's I like to do it, but I'm I'm learning something new. And I said, what would you like to tell me about how you feel about that? And she said, well, I feel like you're wasting your life because
oh,
you could be spending it with me and Gray. And I tell you, it just went, oh,
oh, that's a dagger to the heart. All right.
because I had to think about where I was spending my time and how I was spending it and what the priority really was.
Mm,
And my children are my priority, but there are other things that I'm doing and other things that I am building. And so I have to plan and do those intentionally.
yeah.
And um, have you ever experienced the colliding of your intentions and your priorities clashing?
Yeah, I have. Um, and that's actually caused some issues with relationships for that very reason. A very good friend of mine who lives here in Nashville, he and I go out from time to time. Somebody I used to work with, so he's a really good friend, platonic friend. Um, but there are times when, he's like, you haven't been out in a while. You have stop what you're doing. I'm coming over in about half an hour, pick you up, so be ready. And I'm like, but I can't, I've got this to do and I've got that to do. And what happens is sometimes you need to take that break, and sometimes be your time or your me time or the time that you spend with other people does take precedence. And you have to consider those relationships, and you have to consider that me time and taking a break, a mental break even, from what it is that you're caught up in, so that you can kind of catch yourself and then come back to it with fresh eyes, with a fresh perspective, with a new idea that maybe wouldn't have generated if you hadn't given it a break and then come back to it. So taking precedence and taking a priority with relationships and things that are important does take some thought and action for you to do, so that you can consider other things that are probably more important than what you're actually focusing on right there and then, at least at the moment, right? And so we need to be able to set those priorities, or set that one thing that's important, and then the other things will come after, and maybe be better for it because you've given yourself a time to break from that and then come back to it with a fresh perspective. So I think it's caused some tension, not only in that relationship, but in other relationships where what I have to do is more important than what they have to do, sort of thing. It's like selfish. So I have to kind of think about, is this really that important, or am I being really selfish right now? And it makes me wonder about being selfish and about giving that time where that time is due. So it is important, because it can affect in negative ways if you don't do that. So yeah,
There's definitely a balance, isn't there?
yeah, gotta have a balance.
I've been reworking my schedule.
Mm-hmm.
So figuring out where I slot my time, and making sure I'm done with my day by the time my kids get home. And
Yeah,
um, if I'm not able to do a training, then I don't do it. Um, that's a challenge sometimes to do those things, um, especially when you really, really want to do it. It doesn't mean you can't do those things here and there, but if it's a habitual thing, yeah,
yeah,
then that can be detrimental.
yeah. So knowing that you can do things if you schedule them properly, and if you, like you say, prioritize, get the things that are important, think about what's important to you, and what was kind of came face to face for you was that when your child questioned why you were doing a certain thing and you had to think about it, and then she kind of gave you her perspective on, well, you could be spending time with me and my brother, and that was a wake-up call right there. That was actually a come to Jesus moment with you and your daughter in terms of the time you spend with them.
Yeah.
So I think that was important for you to be able to say, you know what? They are important, and I need to switch some things around, and I need to spend more time with them. So that was important for you to be able to see that, and for your daughter to be able to point that out in such a loving way too. So that's pretty important, pretty special.
Priorities are many, we think,
Yeah,
until we realize there is something, there is only one thing we can do at a time. We can only do one thing at a time,
yeah,
really.
yeah. You can. You can only
So
do one thing at a time. Focus on one thing at a time. You're right.
you can do many things,
Mm-hmm.
but only one at a time.
Yeah,
So, you can schedule many things in, but only one can get done at a time.
yeah,
That's actually kind of fun. Like, I wish I could do 10 things at a time. But they say, even this idea of multitasking is
uh-huh.
not really a thing. It's just getting distracted. Because your brain is not even able to truly focus on that thing that you're doing.
That reminds me of a course that I did where we did a little exercise that kind of pointed that exact principle out, where they'd make you count from 1 to 10. And then I do believe you had to write down 1 to 10. And then they wanted you to write down 10 to 1 backwards. And at the same time, write down the number 1 and then the letter A. So A through however many letters you have to go through to get to 10. So you do the letters of the alphabet and you do the numbers. So you do the number from 1 to 10, and then you do the ABC from 1 to 10. And then they wanted you now to write both of them, and you had to think a little bit. It took you, they timed you, and it took you a little longer to do both, to think about what the order, and A next, or is it B, C next, or is it F next? You know, you had to think about what you had to do, and it took you longer to get that done, as opposed to just focusing on the ABC or focusing on the 1 to 10 number by its, you know, the numbers by themselves. So when you had to combine the two and had to think of the order, and then do A first, and then do number 1, and then do B next, and then do, you know, you get confused if you're trying to divide that time and attention. So that exercise proved that multitasking is kind of distracting. You can't really focus on any one thing. You give attention in half to one, and then maybe half to the other. So it's divided. So it's not your full attention, it's divided attention. And so there's something to be said about the multitasking. Are you doing your best work when you do that? Are you doing your most focused work when you do that? Or are you distracted and doing halfway between the two? So not the best work that you could do. So there's something to be said for that. That exercise was an eye opener.
So I guess the challenge then is, what do you want to, where do you want to do your best work? And what's that priority?
Well, you know, it kind of reminds me of the little conversation we had on Monday about last week, Monday, about the value of what you provide for the service, and where you place your value and where you place your priority, right? And so it makes you think of that you want to do your best work where it best serves the people that you serve, which is your family, which is your clients, which is your husband, which is your immediate, whatever that relationship or those relationships are that are important to you, or that you are involved in, or in, you know, caught up in at the moment. Those are the things that set the stage for where you need to place your priority, right? And so for you, it became clear that your children needed your time. Yes, you're trying to pursue a business. Yes, you're trying to pursue a career in your entrepreneur world, but then you have young children who need your time, you know, as well, and probably need it more so than the business. The business will get done because you're still, I guess, aligned with that, and you're still in you know, in league with that. But your children are only young once, right? When they grow up and they leave and they go on their own, you can't get that time back with them. So this is the time where you spend with them now to create those memories, to create those things and the patterns of behavior that you want to see in your children. This is the time in their formative years when you do that. And so if you let those times slip by, you can never recapture those moments. And so what are the relationships that are important to you? That's where the value of your time needs to be spent. And then the other things will follow suit. So for me right now, since I don't have children and I don't have a husband, my focus right now is to be able to bring value to how I can sustain myself for the long haul. So down the road, when I do get older, and the fact that I don't have children who are going to come and say, hey, and whatever to me, I need to be able to have my business sustain my lifestyle in the future, off in the future. So that right now is a focus for me, and being able to set myself up so that when I cannot do for myself anymore, that I'm able to take care of myself. So those are the things that are important right now. So it could be different things for different people, right? It could mean different things for different people, but whatever's important to you, make sure that you spend more time and attention to those things that are important to you. Bottom line.
Absolutely. I hope everyone is finding that priority.
Yeah.
And would love to hear how this falls on you guys today.
Yep. So before we go, I just wanted to make sure that you are aware that you can actually find Lois at As We Go, right? Lois, am I saying that correctly? I mean, we need to put that information in the comments so that people can know where to find you as well. And that you do have a group page and also a business page for As We Go. And we can put that information in the comments where you can reach out to Lois and see what she's about. Go check out her page, go check out her group, and just leave some comments there and just see what she's doing over there. She's doing some really wonderful things over there. So you need to go check her out. And then also she has, she's also a published author as well. So she's got some, a book that she's done that may be very, very interesting to some people. So you also need to check that out. And what's the name of your book again, Lois? Just tell them the name of your book.
It is Uncovered.
Uncovered. So the name of Lois's book is Uncovered, and that is available. So you can go check her out on her page, on her business page, or in her group page. So yeah. All right. Anything else you want to tell them?
That's
it
it for today. Talk soon.
That's it for today, everybody. Thank you for being with us today. Thank you for stopping by, joining the conversation. So basically what we want to have you think about today is to think about what's important to you. Prioritize, prioritize, prioritize. And that one thing that's important to you, whether it be a relationship, your children, your husband, your family, whatever that may be, your business, prioritize that, because everything else will fall into place after you take care of the things that you need to take care of first. So we'll talk again next week. Thanks for stopping by. Have a great week and have a great Monday. Bye for now.